Ms. Brown, you claim the defendant got you pregnant, then used allegations of promiscuity to deny he fathered your 4-year-old son, Deandre Gray Jr. You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is his biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Washington, you claim you need today's DNA results because you were recently ordered to pay support for a child who is another man's junior, and you know you are not the father. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Ms. Brown, you say you are fed up because Mr. Washington has denied your son for 4 years.
Yes.
Tell the court.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm fed up because my son is 4 years old, and I am a single parent, and I'm raising my son on my own. And I don't have no support at all. Birthdays, Christmas, holidays, wherever. Mr. Washington sees my son and don't even acknowledge the boy. Look how handsome my son is. Everywhere I go, everybody say how handsome he is. And that hurts inside to be a single parent that don't have no support system, no help, no anything. And I'm tired of it. 4 years, I mean, it's terrible, and he needs to be a parent.
4 years, Mr. Washington?
Your Honor, I do not believe Deandre is my son at all, okay?
You a lie.
And what's really frustrating is having to go to court in Michigan and pay all this money for a kid that I know isn't mine, especially seeing the situation.
So you say you know definitively that Deandre is not your biological child?
Yes.
You know that?
I know it.
You have no doubt in your mind?
No doubt.
And so how can you be so sure?
Terriana is done a lot. And I'm not the only guy that she's been dealing with. And that's how I know that he's not my son.
So, Mr. Washington, just to be clear and to recap, you started dating Ms. Brown, and you said you felt like she was inconsistent sometimes. You didn't understand why until she came to visit you. You were riding with her to a gas station and realized that all the men there knew her and were basically trying to say, hey, what's up with you? And it triggered something where you felt like, oh, this young woman is dating other people or also being intimate with other people as well.
Exactly.
Ms. Brown, I want to give you a chance to respond because those are strong allegations about a young woman. He says you were sending him off. He says that you were with multiple men when you were also with him. When you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
I called Mr. Washington when I was in the hospital. And at the time I was in the hospital, he claimed he was at a job, which he never had a job.
So you're at the hospital getting the pregnancy test?
Yes.
They tell you, Ms. Brown, we've determined that you're pregnant.
Yes.
The first thing you do is call Mr. Washington.
Yes.
You say what?
I said, hey, Ryan, I'm pregnant. And he said, what? I said, you heard me, I'm pregnant. He said, Ms. Brown, I ain't got time to talk to you right now. And I said, why not? This is your child. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, because you goofy. I've been having sex with you since September and October. And I said, that was like 2 or 3 times a week with him. And when I conceived and went to the hospital and they told me I was pregnant. Yes, we were. Yes, it was. Stop lying. What was it, a one-night stand? No.
And when she told me she was pregnant, she was not in the hospital.
I was 6 weeks
she
pregnant
was not
when
in the
I told
hospital.
you. Yes, I was.
This was, when she told me she was pregnant, it was almost too late. And at that point, that's what made me have the doubt. Because I said, well, the whole neighborhood knows you. So how can you be so sure that I'm the one that got you pregnant?
You're lying.
So hold on, Mr. Washington. I want to understand this assertion. You're saying when she told you she was pregnant, you immediately said you weren't the father because you knew of other men and you said the whole neighborhood knew?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you submitted a calendar to the court. And this calendar outlines when you believe Deandre was conceived and most importantly, why you believe Mr. Washington is his biological father. So for this calendar, on November 11th, it was confirmed that you were 6 weeks pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So now we go back, and if you count back, you say in September and October is when you were having sex consistently with Mr. Washington.
Yes.
Count back 6 weeks, window of conception, September, October, you fall right within the time. Further, Deandre's birthday is July 3rd.
Yes.
So when you count back, all of this makes sense to you.
Yes.
And so you did the math and you said, this is the person I was intimate with consistently for the months of September and October. That's why I believe Mr. Washington is Deandre's biological father.
Yes.
Mr. Washington, as you look at this calendar that was presented to the court by Ms. Brown, Is this a correct assertion of what happened in the dates you were intimate with Ms. Brown?
I don't think that's accurate, Your Honor, because during this time, before Ms. Brown got pregnant and through her whole pregnancy, Terriana was dating another gentleman. His name is Deandre, the same name as the kid. Deandre, the baby, he is a junior.
You said you told Mr. Washington that he was the father, and Mr. Washington told you to kick rocks. In other words, he didn't believe you and he didn't want to be involved.
Yep, and that's why I
Did you ever tell this other man, Mr. Deandre Gray Sr., he was Deandre's biological father?
No, I never told
That's
him
a lie.
until
Yes, you
after
did.
I
and
told
when he contacted
him no.
me, that's what he said.
All right.
And
No,
that's what
I
he
did
said
not.
he's tired of
No,
playing
I
games.
did not.
And that's
no,
what,
I did not.
That
He
made my doubt
contacted
grow.
you because he said he was
All
trying
right,
to take
hold
care of your
on. We
responsibility.
actually
that's not
have
what he said.
hold on. This court is about getting to the truth, getting the answers for the child.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a statement from Deandre Gray Sr. I'd like to read.
Yes.
It says, at first, I thought I was the father because Terriana told me I was.
Yes.
There it is.
I caught a bond I couldn't let go. Plus, a real man take care of a responsibility. The doctors have told me I couldn't have kids for many years. Every female I've been with never had kids by me. And that's a statement from Deandre Gray Sr.
Yes.
First line is, I thought I was the father because Terriana told me I was. But I just asked you a minute ago, did you ever tell Deandre Gray Sr. he was the biological father? And you said no.
I mean, yes.
Hold on, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to get the story straight. No, I'm serious. Take a minute, think about it, then tell me the truth.
Yes.
Me too.
I told him. Because I had no help. I told Deandre Sr. that he was the father because I had no help.
He ain't the only one.
There we go. Listen, we didn't come all this way to lie.
Yes.
This handsome child is 4 years old, still dealing with a question of paternity over his head. We didn't come here to lie.
No.
So if that's the truth, then say it.
Yes, it
the
is.
truth is you did tell Deandre Gray Sr. he was the biological father.
Yes, I did.
And you said it was because what?
Ryan didn't help me. I told another man that he was the father to get help.
And who was at the birth?
Deandre. And he cut the umbilical cord and named him after him.
You are in court
In Michigan.
dealing with a child support order.
Yes.
Only to be told by the judge
He lying.
that there were other potential fathers, and when he reads the names, one of them is your cousin?
He's lying because in the state of Michigan don't even put that on their papers. You're lying. They didn't even put names. They don't even do that in Michigan.
But you're the one that's on child support.
They don't even do that in Michigan. That's a whole lie.
When I came down there, Yana, and they talked to Ms. Brown about what all she had come there previously and done, I guess whatever paperwork she put in, which is how they found me, I don't know what she did. He said those names, and that's what my cousin's name came out of that judge's mouth.
That's how you're lying.
And so, Ms. Brown, had you ever listed other names for the court besides Mr. Washington's name?
No, I just put him
That's
and the court.
And so how did Mr. Washington hear these other names?
He didn't hear no names.
Once
In
the
the state
judge-
of Michigan, the judge don't even give names.
The
So
judge
that's
said,
how he's
"Mr.
lying. They
Washington."
just called Mr. Washington and
The
said,
judge
hey,
said those
Ms.
names,
Brown
then he
has
says,
a child
Mr.
by you.
Washington,
Can you come
okay,
in?
today is your date.
No,
for
he
you
did
to,
not.
See, established
They didn't say
paternity.
that.
He tried
They
to get
didn't
me
say
swabbed,
that.
and I guess the people that does it
They're
wasn't
lying.
there or something
He's
like that. I
lying.
don't know. I never got it done.
They
And
gave him
that's when he
2
told me.
Okay, hold on, Ms.
Okay.
Brown. I need you to let him give his testimony. And even if you don't believe it's true, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Okay.
So, Mr. Washington, you found out another list of names, and he said today is your day.
Today is my day.
And you were supposed to get a DNA test.
And they didn't do it. The judge had said to see if they could get my mouth swabbed because the people weren't there, and they never did it. They said, well, I had to pay for it and made me the father by default.
So you pretty much missed your window. The court named you by default. Now your checks start getting garnished.
Yes. And now I'm threatened.
Even though you claimed that 4 other men were listed, and the judge informed you of that during one of your hearings.
Yes.
So, Ms. Brown, it was your testimony there were no other men.
No.
How would the court even have these men's names?
Only
How
person
would they
name
even
I put was Mr. Washington. They don't put names on it. What happened was, Mr. Washington, I told the friend of the court about Mr. Washington. They sent him a paper They gave him 2 hearings to come to court. Every time they gave it to him, he made an excuse why he could not make it. And he would call like, oh, I got this to do. Oh, I got that to do. They'll reschedule.
They let her testify.
They will reschedule everything. And then when it came to a point, my case manager said, hey, Mr. Washington, why are you prolonging it? Like, we gave you 2 chances to come to Michigan to take this test. You're not willing to take it. What's going on? So that's when they said, okay, you don't want to take the test. Fine, then you're the father. And that's when they put him on child support.
At some point, you're standing in a courtroom and you say you hear your own cousin's name listed as a potential father. You get in touch with that cousin and you find out that he, in fact, has also been sleeping with Ms. Brown.
He told me.
No.
He told me.
And from there, you realize that this is a family affair in more ways than one.
Yeah.
No,
Plus
it's
Deandre.
not.
Plus you got Deandre.
No.
So listen,
I don't.
this court is about getting down to the truth.
Right.
And I want to hear the whole truth, so I want to talk to your cousin, Jerome. Please escort Mr. Johnson into the courtroom. So you had a sexual relationship with Ms. Brown?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
All right, and so has she ever told you you were Deandre Gray, her child's biological father?
Yes.
When have I ever told you that?
What happened?
I called her and I asked her what's going on, why we going back and forth with you saying that I'm the child's father. Then it's my cousin's baby. But then a couple more weeks later, now it's back his baby. You see what I'm saying?
You're lying.
So you
This is
feel
what-
like she was going back and forth?
Whoever
Of course.
she
No.
Has
Of
she
course.
ever told
You a lie.
you to your face you are Deandre's biological father?
On the phone, but not to my face.
On the phone, she
You're
said
lying.
it.
Yes,
I
Your
don't even
Honor.
know your phone number.
You've had a question in your mind related to the paternity of Deandre.
Yes, Your Honor.
You always are thinking, is this or is this not my child?
Yes, Your Honor.
So much so that your cousin says at some point you basically said, we need to talk about this and get this straight.
Yes, Your Honor.
We met up and talked about it, and it was to the point to where he had gotten into detail about how she would come over to his house and everything like that. The family knows. I don't know why she's standing here lying right now. I can't
So
make sense of it.
specifically, what did you discuss? What did you two discuss?
Well, I told him that she was saying that, I had a baby by her. And then he said, well, she's saying there's a rumor that she's saying the same thing about me because she knew what she had done with the both of us. So now me and him, we trying to figure this whole thing out.
No.
And couldn't make sense of it.
No.
Couldn't make no sense of it. Right now, I'm confused as ever.
God can strike
You told Deandre this, you told me this,
I only told you
slept with my
Deandre.
cousin, and now you in court saying that you never did. Yana, we're not gonna come all the way
I
here
never
to lie.
slept with your cousin, so why
You're
would
not
I
gonna
come
come
here
here
and
to
lie?
lie,
I
y'all.
slept with you and Deandre, so what are you talking about?
Right.
Ms.
I've
Brown,
always had a car.
let
No,
me
I
ask
did
you
not.
this.
No, I did not.
Deandre is 4 now.
Right.
Who is he calling daddy?
Big Dre. Deandre, Sr. That's all Dad he knows because Mr. Washington never stepped up.
But it is your clear assertion that Mr. Washington truly is your child's biological father.
Yes.
Mr. Washington, when's the last time you saw Deandre?
I would say sometime last year,
No, you didn't.
A year ago.
because I had traveled to Michigan and I tried to work some things out with her because she's been ongoing with this. Oh, this is your son, this is your son. So I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and come down here for a few days and, check him out and see what's going on. And that was it. I stayed for about 4 days maybe and then came back to Illinois.
And you saw him.
I saw him.
You spent time with him.
Yes.
And when you saw him, did you say, I've changed my mind. I do believe it's a possibility. This could be my son.
I had some thoughts like that, but then I said, you know what? I don't think he looks anything like me. And after seeing him and actually being around him, I just don't think so. As I was there, big Deandre would call the phone or whatnot, and she letting them talk to him. And once Deandre reached out to me, he told me, he said, man, when you was up here, I knew everything that you was doing. He was telling me what I was up there in Michigan doing. So while I'm there trying to work things out with her, she was still, at that point, was still messing with Deandre. And that's what just certified the whole thing for me. I said, you know what? I'm not dealing with this.
It's difficult to unravel all of this because the court is going to determine what's in the best interest of the child, and what's in the best interest of the child is that he's taken care of. But what's interesting in this situation is you got another person who stepped up to the plate and is basically raising the child as the daddy, who also gave him his name. He is the junior, but then you are the man that's on child support and has to pay for the child.
Exactly.
Usually what we counsel people to in this courtroom, a man like Deandre Sr. is, well, be careful if you're gonna sign that birth certificate, you're gonna be responsible for child support. But instead of him being responsible for the child support, you are.
Exactly.
And he's still on the birth certificate.
And she said she
never
that's
got
my
his
kid. Well, why doesn't
Oh,
he have
he
my
didn't
last
sign
name?
the
No,
birth
he couldn't. He
Like
didn't
that.
have an ID to sign it. He wanted to, but
Oh, he wanted to sign it,
Yes.
but he didn't because
Yes.
he didn't have an ID.
he couldn't. Yes.
Oh my goodness, you one ID away. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Washington, you are the father. That's your little boy.
Okay. And
You
now that-
are the father.
And now that I know that, all this time has went past, fully prepared to step up and be the father that I'm supposed to be.
Good. Good. You're gonna have to be a man about this. Because you and Deandre Gray Sr. gonna have to work out this thing with Deandre Gray Jr. because that's your baby.
Right.
And Ms. Brown, I'm not gonna let you off the hook. You said to me that once he rejected you, when you told him this was your child, you said, I didn't want to be alone.
Yes, I did.
And even wrong, right, or indifferent, that was your truth. And I knew that. And even though you have weaved a web of hot messness, I mean, really, this has been a mess. For 4 years, this child has suffered for no reason. This did not have to happen. It's because he couldn't come to court and you were scared to be alone and now the child is suffering for it. But I know why you did it then, but it's that same feeling of just not knowing what to do and not knowing what to do in a moment, so you do the wrong thing instead of the right thing. I want to catch you before you do it again, because now that we have the truth, I want you to do the right thing for your son.